Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back to Risk Management and Insurance. Today we shall begin with a recap of our second lesson, Nature of Risk. Nature of risk is a complex and multifaceted. It means it encompasses various dimensions that influences its attributes, characteristics, and dimensions of management. We then explored certain aspects ranging from probability and an impact, uncertainty and variability, volatility and dynamics, the interconnectedness as well as interdependency, perception and behavioral bias. Today we shall begin with trade-off and opportunity cost. Trade-off and opportunity cost. Here, managing risk often involves the use of resources allocated to risk mitigation measures which could be otherwise used for other purposes. Organizations then weigh in a potential benefit of risk reduction against these costs involved, considering factors such as probability, severity, feasibility, and strategic objectives. Risk management decisions may be involved in these aspects, optimizing risk-return trade-offs, balancing short-term objectives with long-term resilience, and allocating resources efficiently to mitigate against the most significant risks. Management of risk here, as highlighted earlier, involves trade-off and opportunity cost. From our basic knowledge in economic terms, opportunity cost, that is, we have decided to jettison a definite option for another. As resources allocated to risk mitigation measures could otherwise be used for other purposes. Therefore, organizations need weigh in their potential benefits of risk reduction against these costs, such as the probability, the severity, feasibility, as well as strategic objectives. Still on nature of risk. It talks about the dimensions, the perception, the attributes, trade-off, and opportunity cost. Opportunity cost. Involves involves the management of risk as well as resources of risk as well as resources which could otherwise be used for other purposes. Simply put, the trade-off as well as opportunity cost could be used alongside the resources for other purposes other than the intended purpose. And there are some factors that need to be considered. Factors such as probability, severity, feasibility, and strategic objectives. Factors such as probability, severity, and strategic objectives. Need to be put into consideration. Adaptability and resilience. In a dynamic and uncertain environment, adaptability and resilience are essential attributes for effectively managing risk. Organizations and individuals must be able to anticipate, respond to, and recover from adverse events and disruptions. This simply means should any event or uncertainty crop up or happen, you should be proactive about it. You should be able to respond should any eventuality happen. And building resilience involves fostering flexibility, redundancy, and contingency planning to withstand shocks and uncertainties. It also entails learning from past experiences, conducting post-event analysis, and continuously improving risk management practices to enhance preparedness for future challenges. You should be able to anticipate or cast into the future that should anything happen. There are measures already prepared to mitigate against such eventuality and going to recover from adverse events and such disruptions. Therefore, fostering flexibility, redundancy, and contingency planning needs to be put in place to withstand shocks and uncertainty. We can also learn from our past experiences, historical background, by conducting past post-event analysis and continuously improving risk management practices. Adaptability. And resilience. Here, organizations need to be proactive. That is, to respond to eventualities, uncertainties, or eventualities that may crop up in the event of heat happening. As such, need to put up certain measures to guard against such eventuality. In summary, the nature of risk is characterized by its probabilistic and uncertain nature, volatility and dynamics, interconnectedness and interdependency, subjective perception and behavioral biases, trade-offs and opportunity costs, and the need for adaptability and resilience. Therefore, we need to recognize these dimensions which are essential for developing comprehensive risk management strategies that address the complexities and changes inherent in managing risk effectively. We have other points like context dependence, temporal dimension, complexity and non-linearity, ethical and moral dimensions, globalization and interconnectedness, technological advancements and innovation, cultural and societal influences, just to mention a few. The context dependence, as the name suggests, includes the industry, the geographic location, regulatory environment, and organizational culture. Risks that are considered acceptable or manageable in one context may be perceived as unacceptable or more challenging to mitigate in another. Therefore, contextual factors shape risk assessment, tolerance levels, and risk management priorities, highlighting the importance of tailoring approaches to specific contexts. Temporal dimension. Risk may exhibit temporal characteristics evolving over time and manifesting differently at various stages of the life cycle. Some risks may materialize gradually, while others may emerge suddenly and unexpectedly. Additionally, risks may have short-term or long-term impacts, requiring different strategies and time horizons for mitigation and response. Therefore, understanding the temporal dimension of risk helps stakeholders anticipate future development, plan accordingly, and adapt their risk management approaches over time. The complexity and non-linearity talks about risk, which is often driven from complex systems as well as being characterized by non-linear relationships, feedback loops, and emergent properties. A small change or changes or interactions within these systems can lead to disproportionate or unpredictable outcomes. This is known as nonlinear effect. The complexity introduces challenges in risk analysis and modeling, as traditional linear approaches may not capture the full extent of interconnectedness and emergent behavior. Addressing these complexities requires sophisticated risk assessment techniques including system dynamics modeling, network analysis, and scenario-based planning. The ethical and moral dimension talks about risk, which can raise ethical and moral considerations, particularly when they involve potential harm to individuals, communities, or the environment. Ethical dilemmas, of course, may also arise when weighing the interests of different stakeholders, balancing risk mitigation measures with broader social responsibilities, or addressing issues of fairness and equity in risk distribution. Therefore, ethical risk management involves promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical decision-making principles to ensure that risks are managed in such a manner consistent with ethical norms and values. Globalization and interconnectedness. In an increasingly interconnected world, risk transcends geographical boundaries and can spread rapidly across regions and sectors. Globalization introduces new dimensions of risk, including supply chain vulnerability, cross-border contagion effects, and geopolitical risk. We shall then mention other natures surrounding risk. We've highlighted contextual dependence, we also have the temporal dimension, we have the complexity and non-linearity, complexity and non-linearity, ethical and moral dimensions, globalization and interconnectedness. Technological advancements and innovation. Still on globalization and interconnectedness. Managing global risk necessitates collaborative efforts among government organizations and stakeholders to enhance resilience and promote sustainable development. Interconnectedness amplifies the potential for climatic shocks and requires international cooperation and coordination to address shared risks effectively. The technological advancement and innovation present both opportunities and risks. As new technologies can introduce novel risks while offering potential solutions to existing challenges. Risks associated with emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, blockchain, and biotechnology include cyber security threats, privacy concerns, and unintended consequences. Innovation also brings disruptive risks as incumbent industries face competition from agile startups and disruptive business models. Therefore, embracing technological innovation requires proactive risk management strategies to harness opportunities while mitigating potential risks. By considering these additional points, aspects, or considerations, we gain a more comprehensive understanding of the nuanced nature of risk, encompassing its contextual, temporal, complexity, ethical, global, technological, and cultural dimensions. Therefore, recognizing these diverse aspects is essential for developing holistic risk management. It's essential for developing holistic risk management strategies that address the multifaceted challenges and opportunities inherent in managing risk effectively. With that, we move on to uncertainty and risk. Uncertainty and risk. They are closely intertwined concepts. Uncertainty and risk. They are closely intertwined concepts, each influencing the other and playing significant roles in decision making, planning, and strategic management. With that, we will love to explore the relationship, the correlation between both concepts, that is, uncertainty and risk. We have the definition and distinction, the nature of uncertainty and risk, measurement and assessment, management and mitigation, decision making and strategy, just to mention a few. There are so many others like dynamic interaction, information asymmetry, risk perception and behavior, innovation and creativity, regulatory and compliance risk, financial markets, and economic uncertainty, among others. We want to begin with definition and distinction. That is, definition and difference. Uncertainty refers to a lack of knowledge or information. A lack of knowledge or information about future events or outcomes can be referred to as what we call uncertainty. A lack of knowledge or information, ideas, messages about future occurrence or outcome and events is classified the term that's what we call uncertainty. It implies that the probabilities associated with different possible outcomes are unknown or difficult to quantify or predict. In other words, uncertainty can arise from various sources, including incomplete data, ambiguous information, and unpredictable external factors. Risk. Risk, on the other hand, involves uncertainty about the likelihood and impact of specific events or outcomes that may result in loss or undesirable consequences. It is often defined, this risk, as the combination of the probability of an event occurring and the potential severity of its consequences. It is defined in most cases as the combination of the probability of an event occurring and the potential severity of its consequences. We have the measurement and assessment. We have management and mitigation. We have decision making and strategy. You also have a dynamic interaction. You have risk perception and behavior, innovation and creativity, among others. Nature of uncertainty and risk. We have defined and distinguished between uncertainty and risk. Having a lack of knowledge or information about future events or outcomes, that can be termed as uncertainty. And in most cases, we have defined risk as the combination of the probability of an event occurring and the potential severity of its consequences. That is under definition and distinction. The relationship. Between risk or between uncertainty and risk can be discussed under the following heading. Have the definition and distinction. Nature of uncertainty and risk. We have the measurement and assessment. We have the management and mitigation. We have decision making and strategy. You have the dynamic interaction among others. You have highlighted the definition and description. Nature of uncertainty and risk. Uncertainty can take different forms, including arbitrary uncertainty, which stems from inherent randomness or variability in the environment. Examples include natural disasters and market fluctuations, and epistemic uncertainty, which arises from a lack of knowledge or understanding. Examples include scientific uncertainty, technological uncertainty. Risk, on the other hand, involves the exposure to certain events or conditions that have the potential to affect objectives or outcomes negatively. Therefore, risks can be categorized based on their nature. This has been highlighted earlier in our first lesson to include financial risk, operational risk, strategic risk, and reputational risk, and as well as soft, that is, market risk, credit risk, as well as legal risk. We then move on to the third one here, which is measurement and assessment. Measurement and assessment. Under uncertainty, it is challenging to measure and assess precisely due to its subjective and often qualitative nature. Techniques such as scenario analysis, sensitivity analysis, and Monte Carlo simulation may be used to explore the potential range of outcomes and their associated uncertainties. Risk, in turn, can be assessed and quantified to some extent by analyzing historical data, estimating probabilities, and evaluating potential impact. Risk assessment involves identifying and prioritizing risk based on criteria such as likelihood, severity, and relevance to organizational objectives. Involves identifying, prioritizing risk based on criteria such as likelihood, severity, and relevance to organizational objectives. Management and mitigation. That's our point. Next point, point 4. Management and mitigation. Under uncertainty, it cannot be exterminated entirely, but it can be managed and mitigated to some extent through proactive strategies such as flexibility, redundancy, and resilience. Organizations may adopt adaptive management approaches, scenario planning, and robust decision-making frameworks to cope with uncertainty. Risk, on the other hand, focuses on identifying, assessing, prioritizing, and mitigating specific risks that could impact organizational objectives. Risk mitigation strategies may include risk avoidance, risk reduction, risk transfer, such as insurance, and risk acceptance. In other words, effective risk management involves a systematic and integrated approach that considers the full spectrum of risk facing an organization. Next point here is decision making and strategy. Decision making and strategy. For uncertainty, it introduces complexity and ambiguity into decision making processes, making it challenging to predict future outcomes with certainty. Decision makers must weigh the potential risks and benefits of different courses of action and may need to make decisions under conditions of uncertainty. Risk, on the other hand, inform decision making by providing insights into potential threats and opportunities. Organizations incorporate risk considerations into strategic planning, resource allocation, and performance management processes to enhance resilience and achieve their objectives while minimizing adverse outcomes should such crop up. In summary, uncertainty and risk are intertwined concepts, as explained earlier, that influence or influences decision making and organizational performance. While uncertainty represents lack of knowledge or predictability about future events or occurrence, risk involves exposure to uncertain outcomes that may have negative consequences. Therefore, effective management of uncertainty and risk requires a combination of analytical tools, strategic approach, and adaptive behavior to navigate uncertain environments and achieve desired outcomes. Navigate uncertain environments and achieve desired outcomes. Other points include the relationship between uncertainty and risk. We have the dynamic interaction. Dynamic interaction, information asymmetry, risk perception and behavior, innovation and creativity, regulatory and compliance risk, financial markets and economic uncertainty, resilience and adaptation, among others. Dynamic interaction. Uncertainty and risk are not static phenomena, but rather a dynamic and evolving one. Changes in the external environment, such as technological advancement, regulatory shifts, or geopolitical development, can alter the nature and magnitude of both uncertainty and risk. Organizations must continuously monitor and adapt to changing conditions to effectively manage uncertainty and mitigate risk. So the next point here is information asymmetry. Information asymmetry refers to situations where one party possesses more or better information than others, leading to an equal access to knowledge about future events or outcomes. In such cases, uncertainty and risk may be exacerbated as parties with less information face greater uncertainty and potential risk. Transparency, communication, and information sharing mechanisms can help mitigate information asymmetry and improve risk management practices. The next point is risk perception and behavior. Risk perception and behavior. Like I mentioned earlier, we have other points. The seventh one here is information asymmetry, as explained just now. We also have risk. We also have innovation and creativity. We have regulatory and compliance risk. We have financial market and economic uncertainty. Financial market and economic uncertainty. As well as the financial aspect, innovation and creativity. These are other factors these are some of the distinctions and definitions under uncertainty and risk, cascading from the relationship down to their differences. Dynamic interaction, information asymmetry, risk, perception and behavior, innovation and creativity, regulatory and compliance risk, financial market and economic uncertainty. We also have resilience and adaptation. By considering these additional points, we gain a deeper understanding of the intricate relationship, the intricate nature between uncertainty and risk, and the multifaceted implications for individuals, organizations, and society. Therefore, recognizing the dynamic nature of uncertainty and risk and their influence on decision-making, behavior, innovation, and resilience is crucial for developing robust risk management strategies and navigating uncertain environments successfully. With that, we have come to the end of today's class. We'll continue next week by His grace. Thank you all for listening.